This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 62 of Healthy Critters Radio on the Horse Radio Network. Healthy Critters Radio is brought to you by Biostar US. Find them online at biostarus.com.
On today's show, we share tips on tack cleaning. Tigopedia focuses on feeding mares during their heat cycle. Critter nutrition is all about poultices. And in Coffee Clatch, we ask, what exotic animal would you add to your family? Listen in. So, Patty P., now that you have moved back to Virginia, how's life in the new house?
Well, it's in the new,
in the new
funny.
internet-less house.
Yeah. It's funny. Today, when part of the reason I chose where I am is it's a beautiful, beautiful house. It's, I think it's like late 1700s. It's a very typical Virginia farm, old farmhouse. And it's been completely redone, and it sits in the middle of 200 just beautiful acres, and there are farming fields all around it. So, and it was close to the barn. I mean, my number one thing is that, I have dogs that I leave at home, so I have to go home and let the dogs out, or if I want to, chill out for a little bit, if I go back for afternoon lessons, whatever. So I wanted it to be close. So that was really the number one thing. And when we drove down this beautiful driveway, it's like a quarter of a mile. And it's just right now it's planted in wheat. So it's just coming up, and it's, about halfway up my truck doors. And it's the straight path to the front door of the house. And it's pretty remarkable. And I walked in, and it was at it's called Longview, I think Longview Farm. And there's just an old history to it, and just so many neat things. But I didn't consider a couple of things, which one was internet. Okay. It didn't dawn on me. When I was there, or I had been on the phone, so it just didn't even dawn on me that in the middle of nowhere, and it takes, if it's raining, you drive real slow, and it doesn't take the 15 minutes, it takes 25 minutes because they're winding, country roads. But I love that part. Just didn't dawn on me that there wouldn't be any internet. So that's been a huge challenge, because everybody says they sell this great high-speed internet. We've had lots of discussions about this, but they don't. And so we're going to wait and see how that goes. But the other thing that I hadn't done in years was I have to drive the trash to the dump. And I really got so happy with how I did my little recycling stuff, and how I did, all of mine. I was very proud of myself. And so now it's become, that part's been a little bit more of a challenge. And there isn't a garage. So there's two back buildings, which are, again, from there. One was a summer kitchen, which, if you're from this area or anywhere, you know what the summer kitchens were like. And it's very small, so I can put it in there. But you can't have trash cans here, because, as we experienced last night, Tigger, a lovely, lovely storm, and it blew anything that was on my porch into the wheat field, and I had to go trutzing out to find it. So it's a lot of stuff that is different, but I love it. The dump part and the internet part, not so much, but it still has been quite a good adventure. So that part I'm pretty happy with. I'm just happy to be back. I'm really happy to be back.
And we're glad to have you back.
Well, thank you. It's been, the weather's been terrific so far, except for last night. But, it's great to be back in the area. But you know how cool some of these old houses are, Tiggs.
Well, I live in one.
Yeah, and so this one, the lady that owns the property is just a wonderful woman that owns a really well-known and well-respected dog kennel. And she bought the property because it was up for sale, and she was afraid someone was going to try to develop it. So she bought it and restored it And I mean, she put vaulted ceilings
Wow.
in. I mean, it's not huge by any imagination, but it's so funny when I think the biggest change for all of us, and this is really what I wanted, is I spend so little time watching TV because we're just sitting on the porch and we're outside. So,
Yeah.
Our living room has become the outside. And that's really what I was missing in my life. I mean, I just hated not being able to be outside all the time. And I had a beautiful house and I lived in a very nice neighborhood, but it was just a very small backyard. I was always worried about my dogs barking. I mean, no one can hear my dogs barking. In fact, they have to bark in the morning over the turkeys gobbling. It's pretty cool.
Okay, I have just one question,
cool.
Patty.
What?
Having grown up and lived in assorted old houses, what is your haunting potential?
Oh, it's funny because this house comes with quite a cool story. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I definitely believe in that kind of stuff to a certain extent, but I don't know. I just never think about stuff like that.
So potential. Are you suspicious of curtains that move in the breeze, or do you have pipes that are awfully noisy when the pipes shouldn't be?
No. It's funny. I guess I walked into that place and felt very much at home. It's funny because, like I said, this place, these two back buildings that kind of look like they would be tobacco buildings, but one was a summer kitchen and one, I guess, maybe was a tobacco building. And they're side by side. One's a little bit bigger than the other one. When she was telling us about the house, the people that owned the house at one point, the husband had died. The woman was pregnant, I think, with her fourth child. And in those days, that was quite a catastrophe. But on a neighboring plantation or farm, the kids, there was, I guess, 6 kids, and the parents both died of pneumonia. And the girls were farmed out to other family members, and there were 2 boys. And the 2 boys came to live with the woman that was in my house that I live in, and they lived in this little shack in the back.
Oh, wow.
And so, I kept thinking, it's just such great history, and I thought about that because I was telling my son, about the whole thing. And, he, of course, doesn't want to even talk about that sort of haunting thing. So I don't really feel anything from that house at all. But I will tell you, the house that I moved from Keswick, this is interesting. A lady used to come and help me with my son. And she told me, and I was actually in Houston doing a clinic, and she said she was just sitting down, watching TV after she had put Ray to bed. And she said, the lights turned off. And she went back over and turned the lights on, and she sat down and they turned off again.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, yeah, and that was a new house compared to this. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to know that. Please don't tell me that. I never saw anything like that though. So,
wow.
So yeah, but whatever things have happened in that house, I think it's just a very peaceful
cool.
place to be.
Cool.
Yeah. So, it's a new adventure. It's definitely a new adventure. And some things have been challenging, but they're challenging in kind of a fun way. So,
well, that's the way it should be.
But except,
yeah.
And I mean, there's been no point where I have thought, ooh, what have I done? I mean, at all. I mean, I like where I live. The woman that I train out of her barn, who's just a wonderful friend of mine, she said, oh, I feel so bad. Maybe we should have looked at some other places. And because when we went, there was a direct road to this house, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, they decided to fix a road that makes the direct line from the barn to my house. Well, that road's been closed since I've gotten here, so I have to go 11 miles out of my way. But once I don't have to do that, I'm going to be real happy.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, that again is a challenge, but it's sort of a fun challenge. I mean, I'm driving down these beautiful roads, and I get to see this little white pony every day when I'm driving to the barn. And my daughter had come from Roanoke to stay with me for a week. And the first, time we're driving in, it was probably about 8 o'clock, and the sun was out, and this pony was flat out. And I'm like, Hannah, it's dead. It's dead. She goes, Mom, it's sleeping. That's what horses do in the country when they have lots of room. They sleep. And I was like, okay. And I was like, truly panicked because
it's a country pony. It's not a city pony.
Right. It's a country bumpkin pony, and it's fine. So on the way home that afternoon, sure enough, it was up. And so the next day, headed to the barn, flat out again at the same time. And I just looked at her. I said, I'm really going to have to get used to this. She goes, you got to let it go. So, but just, It's just been, I've seen more rabbits than I can even mention, but just, all of these wonderful horses because the grass is so green right now and it's just still such beautiful weather. And that's been fun. But the funniest part of all of this move is, today it was definitely a little bit hotter than it's probably been for most people. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. I'm like, I have a jacket on. Houston, this is not hot. You have no idea. Just telling you. But it's all been good. So,
well, we have a really great show coming up.
We do.
We do.
Can't wait.
We've got lots of good stuff. I'm excited.
So let's get on with the show and get into tack cleaning because we know that's one of your favorite things, Patty P.
It is. Indeed it is. So let's do it.
And we're having a roundtable discussion today on tack cleaning and our favorite tack cleaning products. Patty, I know you are a tack cleaning policewoman.
I am. That's a good way to say it. I think I'm training new people right now, and I think they're like, wait, you do what? Every day. Yeah, I am. I have a lot of little things that I like to do.
So can you what do you do?
I would love to share with you. Okay, everybody just sit down, put their feet up. Because I ride my horses every day. I am a big advocate. I mean, some people, don't do their saddles every day. I have always been from the school of thought that I'm going to take care of it every day and wipe the sweat off because chances are, they're going to get dirty in some way. So as far as saddles, because I do saddles completely different than what I'm going to do a bridle. But as far as saddles, I wipe them down every day. I do not use any saddle soap on it because I was told by a very good saddle person to not use saddle soap, but to just wipe it down with water, every day, get all the sweat off. And then once a week, leader balsam it. And I actually,
what leader balsam is?
Leader balsam is sort of
it's beeswax.
It's kind of beeswax, and it's a sort of a grease, and it helps condition the saddle. And I had been told by one saddle company, and I really do like this idea. I get a very soft, super, super, super soft brush, and about once a month, I'll just make circles, very soft rotations, and they said that helps keeps the pores open. And I find, because I like my saddles to have a little bit of a stickiness to them to help me stay in the saddle, and and obviously now with all the silicone britches and all the things that they do, a lot of people don't need that, but I really don't like my saddles to be slippery. I like them to be a little tacky, and I don't ever condition the billet straps. I just wipe that down with water, and then I put them up, and I only do the leader balsam once a week. And for bridles, I always, clean the bits off completely, and I put Vaseline on the corners of their mouth, so I always make sure the bit is nice and clean in the ring. If it's not an egg butt bit is the one that's stationary, and a loose ring is the one that moves. So I make sure that's nice and clean, and I take all the keepers out once a week and really wash under there because I do use saddle soap on my bridles, but I always make sure you just want to check your tack, and this is part of the reason. I've had so many crazy tack things happen to me where I'm, cantering along and a bridle falls off, so it gives you an opportunity to keep checking all the stitching and whatnot. And I'll go over it with some saddle soap, and then I wipe it down with just a wet towel to make sure the soap and residue isn't there, and just make sure it's nice and clean. What do you do, Tiggy?
What do you do?
What do I do? Well, I have a lot of synthetic tack now, which actually offers up its own challenges because you don't want to use anything that's got any oil residue on synthetic tack because it's bad for the finish. And I've not had I've not had the courage to put it in the dishwasher or the washing machine, which are both very popular options, believe it or not.
Wow.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Because once the sweat and grime gets into I'm going to call it pores, but they're not really pores, but the beta biothane that most riding tack is made out of has a little bit of a texture to it, just like leather would. And once the grime gets into that, it's really hard to get out. And I have discovered the joy of the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser.
Oh,
yeah.
That's it. I use that in the house.
Yeah, I just ordered some from Amazon. Got them today.
I buy them by the bulk now because we use them in the house and the barn. And I started using them on the bits because it's great for getting the baked on stuff off of bits. Because I don't like using soap on bits. I like to just use water,
Yeah.
So I started with the bits, and then I said, well, I've got nothing to lose. I can't get the grime off my reins. And lo and behold, it made a big difference. So there we go. I use that.
Cool.
For my boots, I am absolutely in love with the Warhorse soap for my boots.
Oh, me too.
Because because on my boots, that's really nasty.
Do you use the leather cleaner, Warhorse leather cleaner?
I use the leather cleaner, and it just melts the grime.
Yeah.
It gets right where the zippers are, and it just gets ground in there, and it's gnarly.
Oh, I'm gonna have to get that.
Yeah, Warhorse is what I use on the boots, and it doesn't. I like the finish it leaves on them when you're done. My boots don't get polished and made super shiny because I'm not into that, but it makes them clean, and it just melts it away. I don't have to scrub all day long. Because I tried a couple of different kinds of regular glycerin saddle soap, and it takes the surface stuff off. But
it does.
It didn't take the deep down grime off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then I know this is synthetic, but that's the big thing is it really can kind of clog the pores too.
Yeah.
But,
so I was really into the Warhorse. Another bit trick that I've used for years and years. Nothing irritates me more than a squeaky bit. And a lot of bits, you buy them right off the shelf, they squeak. You buy them and they squeak. And that makes me crazy. So what I do is set myself a little pan of olive oil in the sunshine and set the bit inside of it and let the oil go into the little hinges in there.
Huh.
Ha, 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 ha. No more squeaky bit.
Oh.
Yeah.
So smart. Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
Cool.
Yeah. And my favorite leather conditioning product, because I like my leather soft, bordering on sticky. That's my thing. Is Belvoir leather balsam because it smells so dang wonderful. It's no more or less effective than any other conditioner, but it just smells fantastic, so I use it.
I get it. I love. Yeah. It's so funny. I have. There's one other product that I will use, and I use them on my boots or on halters or whatever. This is such a blast from the past, but Horseman's One Step. Never.
Oh
use
my
it on my
God!
other
Do they
stuff
still make that?
Yes, they still make it. It's the one. It's the One Step product that does a lot of things poorly. Yes, I have a big bucket of it. Absolutely.
Yes. I love it. I mean, and I used to do I shamefully, I used to do all of my bridles and stuff in it. And I will say this, I was thinking about this because I was down at, the old farm, Tigger, not too long ago. And I used to get that big, must be like a gallon bucket. I did all of my tack. And I will tell you, my bridles really always looked quite good. They would get a little gunky. But my saddles would become sort of glazed over with it. But I like that for boots. It is nice for boots.
Oh yeah, I use that like for your working boots. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. We used to use that on Glenn's leather harnesses because it was cheap.
Yeah,
and you just dunk.
Yeah, there's a lot of leather to clean, and
it was a lot. It was a lot of stuff. Yeah. So we used to use it there. Yeah. Now, do you use any special different products or procedures when you are like at horse shows and stuff, and you need to do quick touch ups?
Me? No, I keep it. I keep my tack in show condition like every day.
Well, you do.
I love cleaning tack.
I found that it was just easier to be in the routine of cleaning tack after you're finished riding. And it felt like just sort of a real completion of the session. Like it wasn't, you weren't done. I completely
agree.
Until you had your tack.
It's like you make your bed. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly. I'm a make my bed every day type of girl. So that makes sense to me. I don't know. I totally agree with you, Tigger. It just sort of is like, okay, it is now complete.
I don't have any tack to clean anymore other than some leather halters and stuff. But I am really loving Warhorse tack cleaner. It's kind of one step for the 21st century. It cleans and conditions, and I definitely, if I was riding, I would use that daily and then do the leader balsam, do a Castile soap and leader balsam once a week.
I'm going to definitely have to get some of the saddle soap because that sounds like, because I love the way that it smells.
Well, not only that, but you do get the conditioning of it every single day.
That's awesome.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I found that it didn't dry out the leather as much as glycerin saddle soap. Glycerin saddle soap, when you clean it a lot because it's really, really dirty, I found that I had to condition more frequently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I got one more quiz question for everybody. And I'll ask Tigger first. I'll make her go first. You might not wear riding boots anymore, but when you were showing, boot polish or the old-fashioned kind that you had to put on and buff, or the instant kind?
Old-fashioned kind.
Of course. And Patty?
Well, about, I don't know how many years ago, Tigger bought me for Christmas this boot shining kit, which
Shannon Peters.
And it really, and it's old fashioned, but it is, it's kind
got
of
everything you need for boots.
It is. And I used the last of it probably about, my last show, and it has such a shine in those boots, Tigger. I mean, it's old fashioned, but it's the old fashioned way you do it. But there's something about what Shannon did with the products that she used that made it. But it's a high gloss. They look like patent leather boots.
Yeah, they look patent.
Because I don't really like the patent. I don't want patent leathers, I don't think. But my boots are that shiny. Like there's just a difference. So, and I love that. I love doing my boots. I love that thing. But I have absolutely used the one-step ones on the foot. Around the foot,
especially the toe. The toe, because it always gets scuffed. Yes. Have either of you ever tried a product called Urad?
Yes.
Yeah. I discovered that a few years back, and when you're in a hurry, that's a real godsend.
That's a good one.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, when you don't have time to polish.
Yeah, it can give you a little bite in the butt too, because if you get that anywhere, that stuff, you don't think you have it on your fingers, and then you touch your face and you go you go to talk to somebody and they're like looking at you funny, and you go into the bathroom and you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't look good. You have black all over it.
Yeah, go with neutral, people.
Always
use neutral.
Yeah.
And they work great for that. Urad works great on cowboy boots.
Oh, there we go.
That you don't, because I don't know. I've never polished cowboy boots, but I mean, I know lots of people do, but I just get out the Urad and shine them right up and go out dancing.
Oh, wow. I want to see pictures. I want to see pictures of your cowboy boots.
Yeah. I want to see pictures of you dancing.
I have quite a collection. And it was interesting in Wellington this year, they had a shoe shine guy who I've never seen before. Yeah. And he was there all season, and man, he was in demand. Riders would finish for the day, and they'd be walking their boots over to him and pick them up the next morning. And
what a cool idea!
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So
those
if
are the hunter jumpers, not dressage people, right? Sorry,
it was dressage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Sweet.
So, for our listeners, if you've got some great tack cleaning ideas or products to use, drop us a note on healthycrittersradio.com or on Facebook, Healthy Critters Radio.
Hello.
Teddy.
You got the whole family there.
Yes, we're all here. That's me in the background barking loudest.
Of course.
Of course it is. How are you feeling, Hedwig? Are you settled in at home?
Because Tigger told me you're being kidnapped by Glenn.
For vacation.
For vacation, yes. He's kidnapping me and hauling me off to vacation.
Okay, well, send him off again, for he might be very dangerous.
I'll keep my guard up. I will.
Okay, because I would hate for anything to happen to you.
We wouldn't want that. We'll be okay.
All right, I'll be concerned.
Well,
anytime need me to jetpack in and save you.
Thank you. Because you're a superhero dog.
Yes.
You are.
Da, da, da.
Da, da,
Yeah.
da. And because you're a superhero, Hedwig, and you're a caring Hedwig, we had an important question for you.
Okay.
Self-driving cars have been in the headlines of late. And you're a worldwide traveler, Hedwig, and we want to know where you weigh in on self-driving cars.
I think they're a terrible idea on every possible level. They sort of reflect the very depths of human stupidity that I have come to. Let's back up for a moment to appreciate the complete idiocy of this plan. So, a human programs a computer to respond the way the human would. Oh, great. That'll go well. So the human apparently taught the computer things, and then the computer is supposed to learn from experience with what? Other humans? I mean, really, the only self-driving car that I can even fathom trusting my personage to would be one piloted and programmed by a Pomeranian.
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Well, we knew that was coming.
I was going to say, I didn't
Programmed
see it.
by a Pomeranian on cheese.
How could I not have seen that coming? Stupid Patty, stupid Patty.
So does that mean that you won't be getting into any Uber self-driving cars in the future?
I do not get into Uber anyway.
Oh.
Okay.
We're
No,
anti-Uber?
Deeply offended by Uber. It's a deeply disturbing company. What with its misogynist history and the fact that it has systematically deprived New York City cab drivers of a means of making a living.
You are for every man. You do have that every quality about you.
Well,
yes.
I want everyone.
And she obviously reads. I just want to point that out. Good for you, honey.
And it's probably the New York Times.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say. But well, thank you, Hetty.
Thank you, Hetty. We feel so much better knowing that you are that you've got our back when it comes to self-driving cars. We appreciate it.
Yep.
I'm here to serve no one. Really, I'm here to perform.
Bye-bye, Hetty.
Thanks, Hetty.
Goodbye.
Bye, Hetty. So we are now at the Tigopedia portion of our show where we get to ask Tigger questions. And this week I kind of went around the barn and wanted to ask some people what they wanted to ask. And the prevailing question was, how do you suggest to feed a mare during their heat cycle?
So if it's a mare that just cycles pretty normally and there are no issues, you don't change anything.
Okay.
But if it's a mare that gets moody and cranky and, doesn't want to be ridden and sensitive on her sides and all those moody mare syndrome, you need to start a week or two before she cycles. And what the mare is actually experiencing is sort of a form of PMS. And I really love hemp oil for PMS mares.
Oh, okay.
Because it's very high in GLA, and GLA regulates the prostaglandins, and the prostaglandins have a huge role in inflammation during heat cycles.
Interesting. Okay.
So, 10 days or 14 days before the mare's cycling, start her on hemp seed oil, 1 ounce twice a day. And then at the first signs of that she's now cycling, you've got to deal with the brain adrenal gut connection. So it's stressy. It's a stressy time for a mare. The adrenal glands generally are producing more cortisol, and the brain is generally not producing the quiet, calm serotonin, but is off in the angry mode, the leave me alone mode, the, oh my God, I'm spooking at this. Oh my God, I'm spooking at that. So then I absolutely put the mare on Theracom. because it will reduce the
Okay.
cortisol, increase serotonin, and quiet the gut, because that's the other really important factor when moody mares start cycling. The elevation in cortisol can cause a rise in the production of stomach acid, which is going to increase inflammation in the gut.
Which makes sense. Okay. Okay. So do you keep them on all of this throughout their, obviously they stop cycling at some point, but do you take them off?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as the heat cycle's over, you can stop the Theracom and the hemp seed oil, and then just before it starts up again, sometimes
Awesome. Okay.
a mare won't always. She'll have a bad heat cycle where she's really cranky, and then when the hemp oil is balancing out the prostaglandins, the next heat cycle you might not even need it, but you won't know until you get them on it. They've got to be on it for a couple of weeks, and then you stop, maybe do 2 cycles, and then sometimes that's all you need to do.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that's a great answer, and I know a lot of people go through this, and all the stuff that you've mentioned are Biostar products, which they can find online.
BiostarUS.com.
Yay! And it's hemp oil and Theracom. So wonderful. Well, thank you, Tiggy.
You're welcome, Patty P. Here we are at Critter Nutrition, and today we're going to look at poultices. Poultices have been used for healing for thousands of years. We can consider poultices to be one of the earliest forms of medicine. Among the first poultices we know of are mud and clay. I became intrigued with poultices when I was down the rabbit hole studying the published research on soil organisms. Healthy soils have an abundance of beneficial microbes and fungi that share a symbiotic relationship with plants and mammals. Soil is one of the fundamental classic elements described in Chinese, Hindu, Greek, Buddhist, and Japanese systems of medicine: fire, water, earth, and air. It began for me with drinking clay water, which was a whole lot more appealing than the idea of actually drinking dirt. Clay water is made the night before and is consumed the very first thing in the morning, followed by a full glass of water. As a part of my daily regimen for 4 weeks, it gave a new dimension to, I need caffeine. Surprisingly, clay water is pretty bland, but not the kind of beverage one would serve for brunch. Clay taken internally has what I call a mop-up effect. Because it is negatively charged, it attracts positively charged ions. Edible and external use clays are very alkaline with a pH average of about 9.7. I figured it was about time I mopped up my GI tract from my younger, wilder years. I didn't have poultices on my radar until the day I tripped in a small, unseen dog hole and fell like a crashing oak to the ground. My knee was twisted, and the torrent of swear words coming out of my mouth in quick succession could probably be entered in the Guinness World Book of Records. I dragged myself into the house, crawled onto the couch. My partner Peter applied ice packs and pillows, and I thought surely in a few hours I'd be walking again. Wrong. While all the swelling had come down from the ice packs, I could not bear weight at all on the knee. Then the idea came to me: earth element, healing, poultice. I mixed 2 different clays, an arnica essential oil and witch hazel. I slathered my knee with a cool, dark mixture, wrapped it in flannel, and waited. When the clay had dried, I reapplied the poultice again, and 4 hours later, I was able to put weight on the ball of my foot, and the bruising around the knee was considerably less. It was one of those small eureka moments. When I was back to normal about 5 days later, I set about putting poultice on anything that moved. This included horses, dogs, Peter, cats, an unhappy rooster, and an unsuspecting toad. I even managed a poultice flyby on a hen's leg. It became clear to me that one poultice wasn't going to fit all the various needs of horse and dog owners. There needed to be a specific poultice for legs, muscles, and joints, a specific poultice for wounds, insect bites, hives, and scrapes, and another poultice for feet, abscesses, and hoof packing. Clay is clay, isn't it? That's what I thought until I began researching and testing clays. Where the clay is from which clay family it is from, kaolinite, ileite, smectite, or vermiculite, whether it absorbs or adsorbs or both, what mesh it is, what efficacy rating it has, and how it is ultimately prepared as a poultice can significantly affect how effective the poultice is. The adsorbing and absorbing clays, like calcium bentonite, cannot be made with metal, meaning they cannot be mixed in metal or stirred with a metal utensil, as the clay's electromagnetic charge will act on the metal, limiting the clay's ability to draw when applied to the skin. Most commercial poultices are made in big metal drums, FYI. Essential oils are a whole nother kettle of fish. What grade of essential oil to use? How does arnica oil differ in a glycerin base versus an alcohol base versus an olive oil base? In case you're wondering, yes, I tested all of them. And the answer lies in what actions you want from the essential oil and its carrier. Poultices were once referred to as drawing salves because of the actions that removed or assisted the flow of debris through an opening in the skin via wounds, boils, ulcerations, bites, and abscesses. Poultices increase circulation, which in turn increases oxygen to the area being treated. Poultices that contain smectite clays or glycerin are powerful osmotics that help to remove excess fluid, allowing fresh tissue fluid to circulate into the area, bringing protective blood cells, nutrients, and oxygens to the site. It became apparent to me on the clay journey that for Biostar to provide poultices, the poultices would have to be artisan, that is, made by hand. Commercial poultices are made in stainless steel mixers blended with stainless steel blades, which can reduce the action of the clays. Metal does not render clay useless, but it does reduce the osmotic effects. By committing to artisan poultices, we can stay true to the fundamental basics that ingredients based not on cost, but on the highest available quality and efficacy, eco-consciousness of how the raw material is cultivated, grown, harvested, and prepared, or in the case of clays, how it is extracted, cleaned, and graded. Other kinds of poultices. The ancient Egyptians used honey, tree resin, meat, and lard for poultices. The early Chinese dynasties used specific herbs and foods, carrots, bran, mustard, capsicum, opium, and ginger. In India, the early Ayurvedic practitioners made poultice bags filled with herbs and dipped the bag in warm oil, then massaged the body with the bag. The purpose of this poultice was to increase perspiration and thus a release of toxins. In the 17th centuries, there were porridge poultices and flax meal poultices. On ships, bread or biscuits were used for poultices by combining crumbs from the biscuits with boiling milk and herbs, sumac for sprains and strains, marshmallow and hops to relieve migraines, charcoal or black powder for wounds. Even dried horse manure boiled in urine and applied for gangrenous wounds is quoted in a poultice by Mrs. Child in her book, The Family Nurse, published in 1837. American Indians made poultices from clays, various foods, and plants, including roasted onions, pumpkins, bloodroot, and red clover. Potato poultices were common in the 19th and 20th centuries for eye problems such as conjunctivitis. Another popular poultice was comfrey for sprains and strains. Dandelion poultices were used for itchy skin and rashes. Cabbage leaves were applied as poultices for gout, rheumatism, varicose veins, and for breastfeeding mothers to decrease discomfort. Chinese martial arts practitioners today, particularly in China, rely on poultices of various Chinese herbs and clay. While poultices are common in most barns and tack trunks, using poultices on dogs and not just horses is less common. Strains and sprains, particularly of joints in dogs, respond very well to poulticing and can be wrapped with something as simple as a washcloth. A poultice on the sore pads of a dog paw works very fast to reduce inflammation. I also dab poultice on tick bites using the clay as a drawing salve. I have also used a poultice on a cat. An abscess below the ear from a cat fight, barn cat versus house cat, and the barn cat won, which healed up amazingly fast from a poultice made of clay, colloidal silver, and calendula. As fast as the poultice worked was the other interesting reaction from the cat. He never tried to rub the poultice off, either by rubbing his head against the furniture or using his monkey cat paws to clean the area. One less visit to the vet. I've also found that having clay on hand has become one of my staple go-to ingredients for a wide variety of issues, including swollen joints, bee stings, bug bites, spider bites, tick bites, sore muscles, strained muscles, and a nice relaxing facial. There is something elemental and earthy about poultices. They can be mixed with fresh herbs, coconut oil, vinegar, dried herbs, tea bag herbs, essential oils, manuka honey, colloidal silver, witch hazel, cabbage leaves, and crushed cucumber. Poultices provide an essential earth medicine that no household or barn should be without.
Real horses and real dogs are healthier, perform better, and recover more quickly on real food. That's why Biostar empowers horse and canine owners with 100% whole food nutrition, supplements, and feeding programs. Biostar products are made at their own certified non-GMO facility in Gordonsville, Virginia, using real food ingredients that are raw, freeze-dried, or dehydrated, never cooked, and are free from artificial flavors, colors, soy, corn, wheat, and molasses. The Biostar product line includes a wide range of whole food, horse and dog supplements, treats, and unique artisan poultices that embrace the ancient and traditional uses of clay and plants. Visit biostarus.com today and learn about whole foods and canine and equine nutrition so you can make the best decisions about the care and health of your horses and dogs. That's biostarus.com. Whole food nutrition the way nature intended.
So here we are at Coffee Klatch, and we thought it would be fun to talk about what kind of exotic animal would you add to your family if you could. So, Patty, we can have multiple exotic animals. So what would be at the top of your list?
Without a doubt, hands down, I want a chinchilla.
Oh, I love that idea. Just to
I
have that around.
Just a pet.
Pet. Whew.
And I would get a boy one, and I'd name it Lenny. From Up Mice and Men. Sorry, but I just, yeah, I want a chinchilla.
The chinchilla.
Right?
It has a ring to it.
I think so. Lenny or Lenai the chinchilla. How about you?
Oh, the top of my list would be a mongoose.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What do mongoose do?
Well, they kill snakes.
Okay.
One of my favorite stories from childhood was Rikki Tikki Tavi.
Oh,
by
yeah.
Richard Kipling. And I always thought how marvelous it must be to have a little, mongoose around. And a very good friend of mine who is an archaeological architect has spent a lot of time in Egypt digging. And they were set up somewhere in Egypt, this camp for several months, doing an archaeological dig, and there were some wild mongooses. And he said they would come into the tent, and they were babies, and they would sneak into the tent, and they would make that sound, and then they try to steal. So they're kind of like raccoons. Anything shiny, like they crawl into a pocket and try to take a penny or.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were just,
they sound adorable.
Don't they sound fun?
Yeah. Okay, ask me again.
No, chinchillas at the top of your list, but you could add mongoose after that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to put that's A, and this is B. Okay, so yeah. Okay, because I want one of them too. Okay.
Jennifer?
How about you? Yeah, Jennifer?
I couldn't decide what exotic animal I wanted, but I've always wanted to have a really amazing exotic terrarium. I find them fascinating.
Oh.
Because you put a lid on it and you create this little self-sustaining ecosystem inside. I've always found those fascinating. Kind of cool.
So what would you put in it?
Well, I would definitely have to have some little tiny turtles and some little tiny frogs, and there has to be fish swimming around in the bottom. And there's got to have to be some crickets because the frogs have to eat something. So they're going to have little insects in there. I think I'll skip the snakes, but yes, worms. Yeah, so that's what I think. Yeah, I'll have insects and reptiles and worms. and fish.
I think that's a great idea. Like that actually sounds like something really kind of fun. All right, I'm adding that one to my list too.
Yeah. But it's going to have to be,
That
you know,
sounds like
that TV show about the people who make the giant fish tanks on TV. I think it's called Tanked or something. I want those guys to make me a terrarium, so it's really like giant size. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then Ant-Man could come and visit, and he would hang out in the terrarium.
I love Ant-Man.
Ant-Man is awesome.
I love Ant-Man.
There we go. That would be my exotic pet or pets to my family.
I think that's pretty cool.
I would like to also have a red panda.
Oh, yeah. Red pandas are adorable. Yeah.
Oh, my
They're kind of
God.
Cute. They're adorable.
And I'd also like to have a fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I raised as a little kit.
As from a little kit to a big fox. Yeah. You know, I think it would be sort of fun because I think they're adorable. Is a sloth.
Oh, sloths
I mean,
are cool.
you could literally
They make me laugh. They
I know,
really
like you could
make
go
me
to the
laugh.
store and like put it outside, come back, and would have like moved 3 inches. You know what I mean? They're just so funny.
Really funny.
So
And you wouldn't have to buy a whole lot of food because it takes them so long to eat.
Yeah. But they're just so cute.
I kind of like their whole attitude towards life.
Just take your time.
Slowly and enjoy life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
They're
think a
so
sloth
cute.
would
They're
be
just so
cool.
cute.
And
what?
I think a sloth would be cool. And a capybara.
What's that?
They look too much like groundhogs for me.
Well, they're bigger than groundhogs.
Yeah, but they just remind me of groundhogs. A capybara for me looks like a cross between a groundhog and a hippopotamus. A tiny, furry hippopotamus is what it looks like to me.
They're so cute.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. I don't think I even know what that
They're
one
from
looks
South America.
like. Okay.
Oh, and don't forget penguins.
Oh, penguins.
I want to know somebody who has penguins at their house so I can go and visit them. Because
I
they
would like to
smell
meet
a
penguin.
lot. Yeah,
I know.
they're very smelly.
I know they do, but
Oh, they do? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
but if you only had one,
But you'd have to have 3 because they like to hang out with their friends.
well, they could be hanging out with my mongoose and my red panda.
Yeah. And eventually my sloth would make it there. I'm coming to hang out.
I mean, we're just. I don't like the whole idea of, imprisoning wild animals. But if you could raise one,
Right.
and semi-domesticate it, but still allow it to be who it is, I just think it would be a great learning experience.
Oh, yeah.
Having
a
a
lot of
penguin
acreage.
waddling around would be great. And you know what?
I
bet
think
they
it would be
produce
comical.
good, fertilizer.
There's Tigger going right back to the compost pile. Can't keep her head out of the compost pile.
So Jennifer, there's no little furry, cuddly.
She was gonna have furry worms.
No furry cuddlies.
How
that are exotic.
about winged? I
See-
think it would be cool to have a toucan.
Oh, it would be awesome. But see, here's the thing. I have a history. Glenn very generously got me a cockatiel long time ago because I love birds. Chickens and all this kind of birds. I love birds. And he got me a cockatiel. And I was a terrible cockatiel parent. That cockatiel, yeah, he bit and he was noisy and you couldn't touch him. And I thought it was because I had a lousy cockatiel. And when we moved, I was not able to bring my bird along because we were not allowed to have pets in our apartment that we moved to. So I gave him to a cherished friend. And within a week, that bird was sitting on her shoulder, eating apples. I was just a terrible parent. So I've learned from my mistakes that I'm not a good bird parent, but I can handle worms and crickets and turtles. I'd be good at that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Interesting.
Know your limitations.
Yes.
Know your limitations.
That's
right.
right.
Well, but the birds, I had a roommate that had a African gray. And that bird really didn't like me for absolutely no reason. And then I came to realize that African gray really loved my roommate. I mean, that was it. There was no other human being. So it really wasn't about me. It's just that African gray looked me up and down and went, nah.
Yep.
And that was probably the same with the cockatiel, that it wasn't anything that you did wrong. It was just not the right chemistry for that bird.
Yeah. And that can happen. I mean, that can happen.
It happens with horses and dogs all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's why I would like to have a toucan.
And toucans are so cool looking.
They are so
Toucan
cool
Tiggy.
looking.
Toucan Tiggy.
I'll come and visit your toucan, Tiggy.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, imagine, would it not be cool to be walking around the Wellington Showgrounds with a toucan on your shoulder?
I'm sure it would. It was, yeah. Well,
And the
I
other
remember
cool
walking.
thing would be to have like a hawk or a osprey.
Yeah.
Or a
When I was young, I was
right
wanted a
on
hawk.
your arm.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, and hope
Yeah.
you enjoy meeting my hawk.
Hawk. Yeah, yeah. Don't make me angry. And you can call it Hawkeye.
Oh, listen to you.
Or Alan.
Right. That's right. Boy, some of these people aren't going to get that one.
Alan Alda played
Oh.
Hawkeye.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they were. Our listeners are much more likely to get the Marvel Comics reference than the.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea who
Yeah.
Ant-Man is.
Well,
my
you have to go
goodness,
watch
that's
Ant-Man. It's an
surprising.
excellent movie.
Oh, it's one of my favorite Marvels.
Really?
Very funny. Tigger, you would laugh.
Yes, it's very funny. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Star Wars, because the other exotic creature I like to have
Is
is
a
a real
Wookiee.
Wookiee,
A real Wookiee.
Is a real Wookiee. A Wook.
or one of those little bird-like creatures from, or those magical fox creatures from The Last Jedi. Now, those were cool.
Those were interesting. The ones that were the little bird-like things, they
made me-
were just there so that they could make stuffed toys and sell them. They were useless.
I liked them.
They were cute, but they had no function. They didn't add anything to the story. They were just there. Yeah, I was disappointed in the cute little furry things. Like, if you're going to put a cute little furry thing there, give them a reason to be there.
He was like a little compass.
Just disappointed.
Did you hear the disdain in that? No,
Yes.
Tigger.
It's like a fake Winnie, you know? It was a fake character. He was just there for merchandising purposes.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, let's not go down that road. No.
We won't be taking you to McDonald's for your Happy Meal.
No, we'll be going to
Yeah,
McDonald's
yeah,
for my
yeah,
Happy Meal.
no.
So
I'd
if,
like a Groot.
if you all, for our listeners, if any of you have a cool exotic animal you'd like to bring into your home, please drop us a line at healthycrittersradio.com or on Facebook, Healthy Critters Radio.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks to our sponsor, Biostar US. You can find them online at biostarus.com.
Get the Horse Radio Network phone app on iOS or Android by searching for Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and easy to use.
For details about today's show, go to healthycrittersradio.com, where you can find links, photos, and more information about our guests.
As always, we love your feedback. Please follow us on Facebook under Healthy Critters Radio.
Be sure to visit all the great shows on Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Love your dog.
Hug your horse.
Feed your chickens.
Clean your litter box.
Dance with your goat.
Slither with your snakes.
Howl at the moon.
Hang with your hamster.
Party with your parrot.
Waddle with your walrus.
Outwit your otter.
Cuddle your cows.
Rap with your raptor.
Go chipping with your chipmunks.
Forgive your fox.
While hedging your hog.
We also recommend that you rack with your raccoon.
Gyrate with your giraffe.
Meditate with a meerkat.
Uber with your orangutan.
Facebook with your flamingo.
Ponder with your panda.
Walk with your Wookiee.
Yawn with your yak.
Twitter with your toucan.
Go raining with your reindeer.
Dropbox your dragon.